Dear participants of our International Philosophical Online Seminar Postscriptum, I'm happy to welcome you to our meeting today. We are opening our new season in the new academic year. The seminar continues its established tradition, cooperation with the Department of Philosophy of Kryvyi Rih State Pedagogical University, as well as collaboration with the Department of History of Foreign Philosophy of the Institute of Philosophy of the National Academy of Science of Ukraine. Yet, there are also some innovation in our work. To our traditional Western, European, Canadian, and American trend, we are adding the field of Oriental philosophy now. This field is the focus of our today's meeting. And with a great pleasure, I welcome our speaker, Anastasiia Strelkova, Doctor of Philosophical Science, Senior Researcher, Sector of History of Eastern Philosophy, Department of History of Foreign Philosophy, Skovoroda Institute of Philosophy of the National Academy of Science of Ukraine. And our topic today, the concept of appamāda, the Buddha's Testament. Please, Anastasiia, you are welcome.
Thank you very much. It is a big honor for me to open this season with my lecture on Eastern philosophy in this time. And now I will share my screen to show my slides.
Yes.
Is it okay? Yes.
Yeah.
So, the concept of appamāda, the Buddha's Testament. But first of all, before I go directly to my topic, I would like to say that this topic and the idea of this topic is partly, in certain sense, an answer to Mr. Loomer, who during the last session of Postscriptum asked a question about the origin of the values. Where is the origin of our values? Where do they come from? How do we know that they are real? And I just want to try, in a certain sense, of course, to answer this question. Just imagine what happens if our values are not true values, or that our values are not values at all. I know one man who can help us to answer this question. I think you know this man as well, and you will recognize him immediately. So, I think you have already seen him before, so I don't have to introduce him to you. But you may ask me why he's to say something about appamāda or apramāda. Oh, but he really can tell us something. As you can see, the word apramāda in Sanskrit or appamāda in Pali has this stem inside itself, because it is made of 4 parts, being the central part, the stem mat, the meaning of which I won't explain explain right now, but you already have a preliminary feeling of what does it mean. The last A is simply the ending of the masculine noun here. The prefix pa is a strengthening prefix, like the Ukrainian pro approximately, and it makes the central stem more strong, more full, so the state of mad is strengthened. And finally, the very first prefix a or a in Pali or Sanskrit is just negation on all the right part of the word. So this strengthened mad is negated. And this is the opposite. So appamāda or apramāda is the opposite of māda or pamāda. So let us go to our main index with our topic ideas. The concept of appamāda, the Buddhist Testament. We know very well that Buddha's first teaching was about the four truths about suffering, that there is suffering, there is cause of suffering, and this cause can be stopped, and there's the way to stop it. But we usually do not know, as well as the beginning of the Buddha's teaching, the last words he has sent to us from the 2000 years ago. So imagine if you were a founder of a world religion, what would be your last message to your disciples and all the mankind? Buddha Shakyamuni was the founder of Buddhism, a religious and philosophical tradition which emerged about 2,500 years ago, and along with Christianity and Islam is considered to be a world religion. According to the Pāli Buddhist Canon, and we know that there are several Buddhist canons, not all of them surviving in equal level, and Pāli Buddhist Canon is very well survived, conserved canon, full, because its tradition is living tradition of Theravada. On the contrary, the Sanskrit canon is not anymore a living tradition, and many texts of it are lost. And one more important thing is that Pāli Buddhist Canon belongs to the school of early Buddhism, and so it can tell us a lot about the Buddha's life and his last days in this human world as well. And the Mahāparinibbāna-sutta, where the last message of Buddha is formulated, as we can see from its name, title, is a discourse on the Great Parinirvana, which is the final great liberation of Buddha. He's passing away from the world of suffering, from the world of samsara, where we are living in, to the world of nirvana, and this liberation is completely perfect and final. But for the people, for his disciples, and everybody who loves him, who listened to his lectures and sermons, it was a very sad event because it was perceived as his death. And on his birthday, deathbed, he left just one word as his testament to his disciples, who were asking him, what should we do when you go away, when you pass away? We are alone. We cannot ask you any questions anymore. Of course, he said that Dharma and Sangha will always be with them. And he gave many advices, but his very last advice was formulated as follows. in the Mahāparinibbāna-sutta. Vaya Dhamma sankhara appamādena sampadetha, which means that all the things of this world which are conditioned by their nature, vaya means aging, and so they are getting old and are mortal, are destroyed, are ruined in their end. This attribute is inherent to them. This quality is inherent to them and can be called attribute. This is why we see the word dhamma here, because it is not used in its usual meaning of, let us say, metaphysical atom, but it is used here just as quality, but a quality which is inherent. So this perishability, this quality to be mortal, is inherent to all sankhara, which are all manifested things of this world. And we ourselves, of course, also our bodies, and all that is manifested in our nature belongs to this category as well. The next word, appamādena. This is instrumental case of the word appamāda, and the last word can be even omitted sometimes, because if it is interpreted as obtain, or to have some qualities, to be provided of some qualities, it has more grammatical or logical meaning, but not too much semantical meaning. Though in this phrase, two words are crucial, vaya and appamāda. Vaya tells us that everything is impermanent and will go away, and appamāda tells us what we have to do in this world where everything is damned to go away. Let us go back to our index. First of all, we will return to this slide a bit later. I wanted to stress that this short message is really the last that Buddha said after having been preaching for 40 years, and after having already exposed all the extensive teachings of Buddhism, forming now the enormous Buddhist Canon, and in his last moments, Buddha Shakyamuni considered important to stress the main point, the very main point, something very important, without what the progress on the Dharma Way would be impossible. And it was appamāda, which I here translate as thoughtfulness, but as far as not native speaker, maybe in future I will adjust my translation, because English connotations of this word may be different, I suspect, a little bit, because usually English translators do not propose this translation as the positive translation for apramāda, but do suggest the negative translation for pamāda as thoughtlessness. So the absence of thoughts, thoughtlessness. But we will see later the more exact meaning of this word, and we will think about the possibility of one or another variant. In any case, we will see the semantic field of it, and it is the most important here. So, given the importance of these last words of the Buddha, there are many discussions which are really endless concerning the exact meaning of the term appamāda. Like many other important concepts, unfortunately, appamāda has no exact analog in our Western philosophical dictionary. Every Buddhist teacher or researcher of Buddhism is looking for his own translation, based on his understanding of the teaching of Buddhism. And now we can go back to the page of Mahāparinibbāna-sutta and look at 4 different translations of this phrase. Just let us read it. All fabrications are subject to decay, bring about completion by being heedful. We see heedful is appamāda here, yes. All compounded things are subject to vanish. Strive with earnestness. Earnestness here is appamāda. All conditioned things are subject to decay. Strive on with heedfulness. Heedfulness is appamāda here. Conditions fall apart. Persist with diligence. Diligence is appamāda here. We will see later that these variants are not the only possible. I have translated some verses of Dhammapada into Ukrainian. It is connected with my interest to Pavlo Ritter, the Ukrainian, one of the founders and sometimes called father of Ukrainian Indology, Pavlo Ritter. He translated 44, as far as I remember, verses of Dhammapada, 1/10 part of it, and I was comparing his translations to the existing ones, to the contemporary ones, and so myself I looked at the terminology, the lexics used in this famous Buddhist text, also belonging to the Pāli tradition of Buddhism and being called by the translators even Gospel of Buddhism and so on, being one of the central by its authority and popularity and philosophical depth of texts of early Buddhism. It contains aphorism spoken by Buddha himself on different occasions, and there is a book where legends connected with our occasions are exposed as well, but the Dhammapada itself doesn't contain them, only the verses, which are 423 in number. They are poetic, and they are very expressive, and this is one of the reasons they are so popular among the Buddhists and not Buddhists as well. So we know that these are the words of Buddha himself. Also, he didn't write anything, but his sermons were written down later, and Dhammapada is dated up to the 3rd century before our era, before Christ. And now it is translated into English. By now, I think probably already more than 100 times. In 2009, in the article paper, in his paper, Freelander, a researcher and translator of Dhammapada, wrote that already more than 80 English translations were known to him. And so Dhammapada being the important text, then we understand that interpretation of the lexics in this text is also very important, and we can look at how the notions we are interested in are used and explained there. So in focus of our attention, there was a relation between the notions of thoughtfulness, appamāda, and full bala. There is a question which I can ask here, and we can so that we can hold it in our head. What is a feature shared by a fool, a little child, and a mad person? I would also add here one more character. And you know who it will be? It will be mad person we already have, the drunkard, the drunk person. He also is characterized by appamāda, and as we will see later in lexicographical materials, it is closely related with the notion of appamāda in Sanskrit language, in Pali language as well. Especially we will work with Sanskrit materials. Since this word is important in many traditions, not only in Pali tradition, but in Sanskrit, in every Buddhist tradition as well. That is why we have several layers of lexics, and I just mix these terms. So you simply have to understand that appamāda with 2p is Pali, and apramāda with r is Sanskrit variant. Just as nirvana is a Sanskrit word, and nibbāna with 2b is a Pali word, meaning just exactly the same. So we are inside Dhammapada now. Let's go to its page. In the very beginning, I just decided to make a list. What a list is this? This is the translation, the variants, 16 or 17 variants of translation of the name of the title of the second chapter of Dhammapada, which is called appamāda Vagga. Vagga is chapter, and appamāda is our notion we are speaking about. So, the second chapter of this book is devoted to appamāda. It is interesting how different translators do convey its meaning into English. Of course, here are not all the translations, but just some examples of possible variants which exist by now. Let's look at them closer. Hatefulness. Yes, maybe now, especially from the teachers of Theravada Buddhism, we will meet this variant. It will be the most used one variant, but not always. Not only it. We have also the variants vigilance. As we can see, Peter Feldmayer uses it in 21st century, so we have not a tendency to throw away old translations and to find out note, but the new ones. But we are looking different ways, going back and going forth. So vigilance is a new translation, but as you can see, a bit lower, vigilanza in Latin, was one, let us say, was the first translation of this term into European language, which was Latin, and Farnsberg made it in 1855 year. So many years ago, and we see that vigilanza is alive. It was Latin, and it was first full translation of Dhammapada into European language. This is why this translation is very important. But it was not the first translation of Dhammapada in general, because several chapters of it were translated a little bit before that by Gogerli. They were published in Sri Lanka, and he translated appamāda completely in other way, religion. As we can see here, completely other aspect of the notion of appamāda appears. Not only attentiveness or vigilance and heedfulness, our effort, our concentration, but some moral, some behavioral principles which are connected with appamāda are inherent to the translation of Götterdli. And for the Buddhists, it is very important because the moral imperative, the criterion of the actions and the results we are getting from them are defined by these appamāda. That is why it is so important to study it. Let's go a little lower. Earnestness. As you can see, this is translation by Max Müller. He is also one of the first translators of Dhammapada. And this translation is alive as well, not only in his works. Reflection is also one of barriers he himself is suggesting, is proposing to us. So we can see that not only hard working, but also the action of thinking itself is stressed here. Our ability to think, our critical thinking, let us say, our ability to distinguish between the notions and between the qualities, our ability to appreciate the situation, to analyze it, and to understand what is happening with us and with the world around us. Let's go further. Diligence, also one quite early translation. Müller mentions it. Max Müller mentions it in his book. And also, as you will see, is alive. The German one, Das rechte Streben, looks like the next zeal. So you are striving, you are directed very sharply in this direction. You are sure you need to think well, to understand, to use your mental abilities in their right way. And the last several variants, wakefulness, carefulness, mindfulness also is quite important translation, attention, non-negligence, also interesting variant because appamāda is a negative form. And non-negligence, as you can see, is the only variant with negative prefix here. So the translator tried to let us, to give us the feeling of appamāda as negating pamāda, non-negligence, negating negligence. And the last word, maybe the nearest to my translation, is the consciousness. So also stressing the mental working, mental activity. Its seriousness, its clearness, its distinctiveness, and its relation to the truth, correct relation to the truth. Let's go to some verses of Dhammapada. The first verses are from this chapter, which is devoted to appamāda. I will read, I think, translations because there are many of them. I think there are 5 of them, and I have highlighted the translations of the terms, and you can see in the original and in the translation marked by colors the respective terms. And we can compare, even without reading, the variants which different translators propose in this case. But I will maybe read so that it sounds as well. Heedfulness is a state free of death. Heedlessness is a state of death. The heedful do not die, while the heedless are like the dead. So we can see that the importance of appamāda is very, very big for us. Non-negligence and the path of the deathless is the path of the deathless. Negligence is the path of death. Those who are not negligent never die. Those who are negligent are like the dead. And let us say here that in Buddhism, death is samsara and the deathless is nirvana. Of course, there is doctrinal sense, but not only strictly doctrinal interpretation is possible. Our usual mode of being, our usual behavior as well is regulated by this principle. The next one, heedfulness, is the deathless state. Heedlessness is a state of the dead. The heedful do not die, but those who are heedless are as if dead. Well, I maybe should not read all of them, but you can see heedlessness, heedfulness and heedlessness, non-negligence and negligence, heedfulness and heedlessness, heedfulness and heedlessness again, and vigilance and negligence. There are 5 pairs proposed by the translators for appamāda and its opposition pamāda. We can see that even one translator uses different stems, different semantical roots to translate this term, because it is very difficult to express everything in one English variant without narrowing, without restriction of the meaning of this term. Let us go to the next verse of the. This is a verse from the chapter Flowers, but it has the same meaning. Let us read it in English. For those accomplished in ethics, meditating diligently, freed from the highest knowledge, freed through the highest knowledge, Mara cannot find their way path. The same meaning. Mara is the Lord of Death, the death person in person. So the God of Death. Those who are meditating diligently will not die. The path of those who have perfect virtue, live without negligence, and are liberated through right knowledge cannot be found by Mara. Mara cannot find the path of those endowed with virtue, who live heedfully, and who are freed through complete and deep knowledge. And in the next 2 variants, we see heedfulness and vigilance here. One interesting word here as well is is in original. Well, tesham sampanna silana. The word sampanna is the same word that in our phrase from the very beginning. Sampanna, we have it here as samparidha. It may help us a little bit to understand this word. Here in Dhammapada, we have sampanna. It's the other form of the verb sampad. Here it is. In this place, sampanna. This is past participle form, and as we can see, it is translated as just those who have, those accomplished, endowed. So just those who have something, some qualities, and usually some good qualities. So I prefer to translate this word in that phrase from Mahāparinibbāna-sutta, just in this sense, being endowed with something. So it may be even omitted because it's simply presence of this quality. But of course, there are different variants of translations as well, which include strive on, work on, and so on. Let's go a bit lower, and we go back to we return to the chapter 20, to the chapter 2, appamāda vāga, and we have here an interesting verse in English. Understanding this distinction, when it comes to heedfulness, the astute rejoice in heedfulness, happy in the noble one's domain. Next one. This is what the wise distinctly know about non-negligence. They rejoice in non-negligence, enjoying the territory of the noble ones. Here, I want to draw the attention to the word ariyanam, noble, in translation. In all 5 translations, you can see it is noble. Why it is interesting? Because heedfulness is here given as the quality with which are endowed the nobles one, the Arya. The Arya here is not an etymological term, but just the philosophical doctrinal epithet present in such doctrinal notions as noble eightfold path or noble four noble truths of Buddhism. So this is the epithet of true cognition, of a true doctrinal way. And we can see here that if you are appamāda, you are in the territory, you are in the sphere, you are in the domain of the noble ones of the Arya, or in Sanskrit Arya, the Buddhist saints or nobles, or we can say. This is quite important to understand that appamāda is such an attribute of this way. We will see later one more citation from other place of canon where the word noble will come back again. But now let us go through the chapter 2 devoted to appamāda a little bit more. The next verse, 26. Here, the notion of fool, bala, comes out simultaneously with the word pamāda, with the words pamāda and appamāda, and simultaneously with bala's opposition medhavin as well. Let us read the English translations. Fools and simpletons devote themselves to negligence, but the wise protect diligence as their best treasure. Fools and idiots commit to negligence, whereas a wise person protects non-negligence as the greatest wealth. The foolish and stupid people cultivate heedlessness, but the sagacious one guards heedfulness, just as his greatest wealth. Well, I think you have got the main idea that fools are those who are devoted to negligence, and wise people are those who are completely in opposite situation and who do practice diligence, vigilance, or heedfulness. But fool in Buddhist tradition is not only simply a fool, but it is also, first of all, the human being, the worldly people as they are in our everyday life. This is word for ourselves as well, but not always, because in Dhammapada, the word Bala has a very sad connotations, but has very sad connotations because Dhammapada says us that a Bala is the state which cannot be repaired. If a little child, which by the way in Pali is Bala as well, is the same word is used, but the meaning differs. Sometimes translators try to translate fool in this verse and in other verses of Dhammapada by the word, for example, I have met childish. And it sounds very strange because a child is also a fool in certain sense, but it is a temporal state, natural stage of his development when he is not as wise as his parents and he doesn't understand anything and does foolish things, but he will grow up and will become wise. And this is the thing which will never happen with the fool, because this state, according to Buddhism, cannot be removed, at least in one life, in one human, during one human life. So we can see that fool's main feature is appamāda, absence of appamāda. And all his suffering in this world, all his disasters are the result of his not negligence, of his not diligence, negligence, heedlessness, and so on. One more verse concerning this topic. When the astute dispel negligence by means of diligence, ascending the palace of wisdom, sorrowless, they behold the generation of sorrow. As an attentive one on a mountain top beholds the fools below. Once more, when a wise person dispels negligence by practicing non-negligence, then having ascended in the palace of wisdom, sorrowless, they look at this sorrowful generation as a wise person on a mountain looks down at the fools on the ground. Well, and so on. So again, we can see that wise people are characterized by diligence, and the fools are worldly people or fools are characterized by negligence. This was Dhammapada page where I just have taken some verses from the chapter 2 of Dhammapada and some verses where the notions of Bala and appamāda are connected. Well, I think that I will tell also several words about the etymological connection between the English word mad being the English and Sanskrit, the Indo-European languages. And so, as you already have understood, the word mad and the word Sanskrit Pali word māda are related etymologically and semantically. And so even we may say that appamāda is not madness in this case. I would like also to show you some spectrum of meanings contained in the Manyar-Williams Sanskrit-English Dictionary in some abbreviated form. Just what emotions, what semantical aspects of the word of the stem mad is present in Sanskrit, and also which are the possibilities to say mad, crazy, in Sanskrit, not using the stem mad. But first of all, we have the stem, the root mad, and we can see that the most basic structure is the verb mad, with the meanings which I have highlighted. I will read them. Rejoice, glad, delight, drunk, be drunk, enjoy heavenly bliss, boil, bubble, gladden, intoxicate. So we can understand that intoxication, drinking wine, being glad, this is being excited, this is the feeling which is related with pāmāda. Māda or pāmāda. Māta is the past participle used as adjective, also excited with joy, drunk, intoxicated, as we can see, excited by sexual passion as well. And we see mad, insane. A drunkard, a madman, intoxicating drink, in Latin, matus, drunk. Indo-European roots are very expressive here. Madhvad, intoxicating, gladdening. Madhvan, addicted to joy, intoxication, intoxicating. Madchita, this is mad chitta. We understand that chitta is the consciousness or the mind, so the mad mind, let's translate it. Mada, drunkenness, passion, stupor. Madakala, mad. Pramad, here we have the same mad, but with the prefix pra, which is strengthening. But the meaning doesn't change too much. It is the same. Joyous, careless, negligent, indifferent, heedless. You just don't think what you do. Because you are drunk, or because you are a little child, or because you are mad, or so, or maybe some other states are available in our dictionary. Pramata is past participle, excited, drunken, mad, inattentive, careless, heedless, negligent. And different forms also derivate from it. Pramatata, pramatavat, the second variant. Pramata chitta, the consciousness, careless, minded, heedless, negligent. Inattentiveness, it was upper. Inattentive, drunk, intoxicated. As you can see, drunk, intoxicated are continuously used as meaning. Pramad, lust, joy, pleasure. We can see also wanton, dissolute. So the sexual connotations also are present in the word pramada, mada, not negated by a. Intoxication, madness, pramada, our pramada, just pramadin, being a person indifferent, drunken, and cautious. And even the meaning of an error or wrong, something wrong, is included. Pramada patha, wrong reading, as you can see. So pramada is the source of mistakes in our life, in our thinking, as a result in our life. Pramadana, amorous desire, and several words which include some feministically unpleasant connotations that pramāda in feminine is abandoned woman or any woman, and even the sign of the zodiac Virgo, and womankind and female sex, so not very good connotations for us. And one interesting moment is that mad, which is blue here, is not the stem mad, but is mine, self, my body, my essence, madbhava, madeha, my body, madarha, my purpose. But mad here sounds just like the mad being the stem with different meaning, but the play of words is present, and we know that in Buddhism the theory of no self is one of the central Buddhist tenets, and the play of words mud and mud, the blue mud and the red mud, can be thinkable. So it also has some meaning in this case. And now we have some words which have meaning crazy, mad. Not only our words mada pramada, but such as unmad, unmatta, unmattata, and so on. Unmatta rupa, maniac-like mad. Kamonmatta, mad with love. So we can see unmatta also has is madman, is used as madman. Mainly, I think that it is quite representative by the number of variants it has. Unmad as well, drunk, mad, unmadita, unmadishnu, and several else variants, all with madness, and madness. Unmadin, unmadavad, unmadita, and also the negative variants not being mad, soberness, mad saying sober, not wild, unmatta, unmada. And the one maybe the most understandable for us, durmada and durmadin. Also being mad or foolish or drunken, drunkard, durmadin. Maybe our word durman has some connection to it, I don't know. So just impression. But we have crazy mad without the stem mad as well. Let us look at them shortly. Utkata, drunk mad, Udhyuta mad, Karyaputa, crazy, imprudent, idler, Kitava, crazy, Kusha. Kusha is a very important word. It is the grass sitting on which Buddha obtained enlightenment even, and medically very important grass for purification of the body and so on. But also it has the meaning mad as well. Give, drip, also with the meaning arrogant, which is important for the notion of Bala as well, because Bala is very arrogant and proud of his mental abilities. It was one of the features of the Bala. Dripta, nirdata, nirdada, Paga, bhauta, also interesting word. Met, momugha, connected with moha, illusion, confusion, and so on. A very important Buddhist notion. Mren, mlet, yogita, bewitched, enchanted, mad, crazy, wild. Lot, loud. Vata hata. Vata is of the wind. We know Vata Kapha Pitta. This is just this humor Vata. But here we understand that it is the wind. Crazy or mad as connected with windy behavior or wind in the head or something like that. Vatula, Vayu Grasta, Vayu Nigna, Sonmara, Ha also has the meaning mad, drunk, Hatha Chitta, Hatha Chetas, mad, and the very last in the dictionary found by me, Haripriya also has a full and a third person meanings. Some other words I will not read them. This is Monia Williams' information on the topic of myths and crazes on the appamāda. And now we are coming to the end, and I want to say the thing which you are understand already is important, because this appamāda you can see now is really central to the Buddhist way of Dharma. And I want to finish the Buddhist part of my lecture by this citation from the Samyutta Nikaya 45, 140, the Sutta, the footprint sutta, the sutta about the footprints. This is one of the, well, I will read it. First of all, bhikkhus, just as the footprints of all living beings that walk fit into the footprint of the elephant, and the elephant's footprint is declared to be the chief among them. That is, with respect to size, so too, whatever wholesome states there are, they are all rooted in diligence, converge upon diligence, and diligence is declared to be the chief among them. When a bhikshu is diligent, it is to be expected that he will develop and cultivate the noble eightfold path. As I have promised to you, we have returned to the word Aryam, noble. And it is stressed here that the big bhikshu who is endowed with appamāda, he is the one who at last can follow the noble eightfold path. And also we can find in the sources the idea that the Buddhist philosophy of emptiness is also inherent to the person who is endowed with appamāda. And we see that appamāda is the base of all the other virtues, of all the other wholesome things. So it is not a surprise that Buddha, saying his last words, just asks his disciples to be appamāda. And let us go to the last ideas of our lecture. I want to say that the Buddhist doctrinal sense of appamāda is not only Buddhist, but also through the notion of madness, being mad, not being mad, is connected to our life as well. Our war, which is happening now, is real madness. If the world would be appamāda, it would never happen. So if we want to survive in the future, we have to think well. We have to distinguish things in the right way, to think critically, we can say philosophically. If we allow the fakes or the untrue structures to conquer our consciousness, we will die. We know, I have written here, but I will read it as well, that a little, I will begin from the phrase, what is a future shared by a fool, little child, and a mad person? All these types of human beings are deprived of thoughtfulness, appamāda, and the fact that they cannot act thoughtfully suggests that they cannot understand clearly the reality of things. As a result, they do not get what they want, just because the things they do are not leading to their goal. We are in the same position here. A little child would not survive without parents, of course. A mad person does not survive without help of mentally healthy people. I have heard on the radio a terrible story that in Irpin, during occupation, a mentally ill sister died because her sister, who was healthy, was killed by Russian occupants, and this mentally ill girl just had nothing to eat and died from hunger. Well, a fool. Being deprived of the ability to think critically will never create a civilization based on scientific knowledge and again true spiritual values. So, if we want to survive, we have to think critically. If we allow the facts to conquer our consciousness, we will die. This means that without thoughtfulness and Buddhist term appamāda, the further evolution of human beings on our planet is impossible. Let me here interpret the Buddha's last message appamāda as follows: don't be mad. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Anastasiia. Your presentation is inspiring, and we have to think and to follow for you on very deep and very philosophical, spiritual level. And at the same time, how it's a questions, how to use, how to applicate this heritage to our life. There are many questions, there are many ideas, there are new knowledge and deep etymological analysis. I'm inspired. But are any questions, dialogues? Please. Welcome to discussion. Alexander, please.
Thanks. I also want to thank you for this very deep analysis and deep lecture, Anastasiia, because your lections was in previous times I heard your lections and you're good instructor in principle. I told this to you, and I want to ask about the finished part, or maybe a finished part of your lecture. I want to ask about maybe a more wide context of Dhammapada and Buddha's Testament. Please tell something more wide, something more in more detalization, detailist context about the ideas of Buddha's Testament and in the context of a problem of surviving of mankind, because it's interesting for me, because the problem of evolution of mankind is the main idea of my own investigations. And for this reason, it's interesting your point of view, and maybe another variant and more negative perspective of mankind. You told us that this negative perspective is possible. Maybe this connection between this more ancient idea of Buddha and this perspective of maybe our times. It's interesting to me. Thanks.
Thank you for your question. I think that the clue word in this context would be the word suffering. Maybe it is the main word which unites all the mankind, all the peoples from the ancient times up to the present day. All of us know what does it mean to suffer. there are different dimensions of it, from small ones to the terrible ones, ending with death. And as we say that all people are mortal, so this is inherent to all of us. Though I think that Buddha is important in this sense for in the context of evolution, just as the one who tried to work to think what can we do about our suffering, and he has found some ideas how we can manage it, what can we do about it psychologically, and not only psychologically, because as we know Buddha lived 80 years, which was quite a long life for that time. And it is interesting that in Buddhism, in cosmology of Buddhism, it is said that in Kali Yuga, we know the time of disasters, which comes after better times. It comes and it is very bad time. The longevity of the life of human beings is getting shorter, shorter, and shorter. And unfortunately, in Ukraine, we have a situation very very similar to this idea, but I hope it is temporal phenomenon and it will change completely in other direction in the future. And if we find the way to get out of suffering, at least to work with it, not being mad, not being fool, when such a person just cannot do anything, is absolutely dependent on something external, and is not free, is not independent. Ukraine is trying to be free now, to be independent. So we are trying to act. Being mad, being fool, being little child, there is a position which is very passive, not active, not creative. And to survive means to be creative. Now, the more creative we are, the more chances to survive we do have, as we can see. So to think, to find ways to give right an interpretation of reality gives us more and more possibilities to survive. We have now many medicaments which are helping us to save human lives, which was impossible even in times of the Buddha. So we have found some ways to struggle with suffering already. If we practice meditation, but do it not as mad people, but as serious people, I think we can also get good results. And even existential philosophy in Western tradition is also a form of such a meditation, which can give us good results on the way on the way of struggle with suffering. And I think that Nietzsche also was thinking about superhuman, and his main enemy was suffering as well. So I think this context, which is the very first context of Buddha's sermons, the very beginning of his teaching was just the teaching about suffering and away from it, is just what we have to focus on when we are speaking about these things. And of course, the Buddha's testament does work now, not only for Buddhists, but also for secular people, as we are. And our, for example, philosophical discussion also is a form of meditation. If we get better notions of some facts, we can progress, we can just at least a little bit, step by step, go forth. Maybe in certain sense I have answered at least partly your question.
Thank you, Anastasia. I want maybe small question once more.
Yes.
Maybe you tell us or maybe me about the difference, in your opinion, between naive persons, and full persons. Naive, for about the Ukrainians and about the people who believe and give credits to fakes, for example. Maybe sometimes naive, very young with their maybe brains. Difference of these two words, maybe.
Naive and young?
Naive, yes, naively.
Yes,
and
I answer the second one.
And full.
And full. Yes.
Yes. It's your opinion, of course.
Of course, there is also, it is a bit difficult to answer because we have English, we have Ukrainian, and we have Sanskrit Pali material. If in Ukrainian, it is one answer, in English maybe another answer. If in Buddhist context, the problem is the problem of translation, because maybe a translator would translate the word bala as naive as well, something like this. I think I have met before. So there can be mixture, confusion of translations and semantical fields. But I would say that in Dhammapada, for example, yes, the notion of full is very strong. It is illustrated by the metaphor of the spoon, using which we are eating soup. And it is told that the spoon will never know the taste of the soup. It doesn't matter how long it will be used for eating soup, it will never get the taste of it. But the tongue will understand, feel the taste of the soup immediately. And the bala is unfortunately not the tongue, but the instrument of eating. He will never get the sense of dharma, says Dhammapada. Maybe other texts of Buddhism have other points of view. I have not done such an analysis of other texts, but in Dhammapada, unfortunately, being bala is incurable. You are. But on the other hand, I have said that bala is used as prithak in the sense of prithak jhana, puthu jhana in Pali, a usual worldly people. And here is a paradox. Why Buddha preaches if people he is preaching to are bala? They will not understand a word from his lectures. So we understand that here are several contexts, and in one context, bala will be very narrow notion without any perspective, and in other contexts, bala as being worldly people in general, and more blind and more flexible context. It is a category of human beings which need Buddha's sermons, and it is why Buddha preached. And by the way, this spoon of soup metaphor was born when Buddha was lecturing, and one disciple of his disciples was sitting just near his Buddha's feet. And every time when Buddha was preaching, he was near. And some monks which came from far away from other countries to listen Buddha. They saw this monk which was so close to Buddha and decided to ask him several questions about the Buddha's doctrine. They thought that he is very good expert because he is so near to Buddha's feet. But he couldn't explain anything. And then Buddha composed this verse about the spoon of soup. So being near to the teacher does not mean that you understand everything. But at the same time, other monks did understand. So I think we have to work hard, to try. And the word appamāda has this important aspect of not giving up. Be strong, insist. We want to know the real world. Of course, we cannot understand everything just now. The history of science is very long, and now we have computers, we have mobile telephones, airplanes. We didn't have them before. Step by step, we are progressing. This does work. Buddha was right. We have to practice. And our science, natural science, is also, I consider, one of examples of application of appamāda. The reality, when it is thought correctly, in right way, it gives us possibilities to manage the world, to work with this world, to change it, to use it, to develop it and ourselves as well. And to develop ourselves is nothing other than evolution of human beings, of the human thought. And this is. And a naive and fool, I think maybe just in this context seen as fool, maybe more near to the mentally ill states, maybe, because you cannot explain using any words to this person that the reality is this and not that. While a naive man or is usually one who is inexperienced. And so if he gets more experience, he or she will understand that the world is more complex, the world is not such as he thought at the beginning. Maybe this would be the answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Anastasiia. Thank you. I would like to give a chance ask question. Christoph Lumer, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Anastasiia, for this very rich talk of yours. It was in the great part etymological, and I must say it was much too broad for me with respect to all these many meanings of the words and these explanations. So I would like to ask to clarify the spectrum which still is open for me and to narrow it a bit, perhaps not by relying on etymology, but by relying on the doctrines of Buddha. So that may perhaps help to interpret what he means with that word. So what I'm still struggling about this are four alternatives, how I would interpret that. And I'm not clear which of the interpretations is the right one, and perhaps it's the fifth one. I don't know. So for me, it could be something like attention, yeah, so that we are careful to something. The second could be conscientiousness, so that we really dive into it. And then the third one could be thinking. When it is not clearly specified which kind of thinking it is. Only think about could be rational, but without clarifying what rationality here means. The fourth, and in my list, the last one, would be thinking according to rules, because you spoke of critical thinking, which presupposes some rules or criteria, or also diligence. Diligence also presupposes that you have some directions to follow. So I would interpret that if you are diligent in thinking, that you have to have criteria or rules. So the question would be the third concept, that is thinking, rational thinking in some way without specifying what it exactly is. Already that, according to what I know about Buddha, and that is very few, would go a bit against his idea of tranquility, ataraxia. So thinking would be exactly the contrary, perhaps. So you are disturbed by all this thinking. And so perhaps you could clarify this seeming contradiction, and also, or explain for the fourth alternative I opened, that is thinking according to criteria, if there is anything Buddha has provided, criteria of correct thinking, of truthful thinking, things like that. So criteria or rules, these things. So, okay, so that is the question.
Yes.
Clarification.
Yes, I
Thank you.
have understood. Yes, tranquility and excitement. It is quite easy to answer, because we have seen that appamāda is just excited state. In Manuel Williams, when we looked through the meanings. So appamāda is tranquility as its opposition. So this active process of thinking is not excited process in bad sense. Because in Buddhism, when you are excited, they usually mean that your consciousness is affected, is damaged, is harmed by usually fear or stress or arrogance or any other bad emotions. And this excitement is completely absent in appamāda, and it does not disturb the correct mechanism working of the consciousness. This is why this state is tranquil state, but it is active. It is not disturbed by wrong things. You will not make mistakes if you can concentrate and be appamāda. And of course, this is one part. And of course, about rules. If you ask, I think if you ask the Buddhists about this word, you will hear more about moral, ethical, vinaya, the rules of ethics for Buddhists. You will hear more that I have told you today, because for a Buddhist, the Buddha's rules are first of all exposed in the basket of Vinaya Pitaka. And Buddha himself told in the Mahāparinibbāna-sutta, for example, for his pupils, it would be not comfortable for us, we are not Buddhists, but for Buddhists it does work. If they doubt what to do, or whether this teacher is a true teacher, or the doctrine he is proposing is a true doctrine, what should they do to judge? They have to open the Vinaya Pitaka and the Sutta Pitaka, look it through. If they find there the same ideas, it is okay. If they find out that the new ideas are contradictory to the Vinaya Pitaka and Sutta Pitaka, these ideas are not good. They are to be rejected. But this is a doctrinal, I think, answer. Of course, good for the believers of Buddhism, but I think a bit insufficient for us not being Buddhists. But I think that the more secular criteria is really our ability to meet our problems, to solve our problems, and if it does work, if we do succeed, I think this is the main criteria for judging about our actions, thoughts, how correct, to what extent relevant they are. If we succeed, there's pragmatical, yes, a pragmatical criteria. If we succeed, we go in right direction, just as an ill person being cured. If he is cured in right way, he will become healthy. If not, it means that the medicaments were not good, or the way of healing was not correct. I think finally this criterion will be the universal and the most final one. Maybe I will answer in this way.
Yeah, perhaps may I ask only a further small question for clarification only. So if I got your second answer right, that would be an orientation to some more rules, canon of more rules, things like that, so that the rules, the criteria to follow would be more these kinds of canons. It would not be a sort of methodological thinking or things like that on a different level. Is that right? Did I understand that correctly?
In Mahāparinibbāna-sutta, Buddha recommends his pupils just this doctrinal variant. Well, I am in danger to interpret in my way some Buddhist ideas, so I maybe should not do this. So I just appeal to this sutta to give example of how Buddha answers this question of yours. But I myself, I would within the Buddhist philosophy, I would go out of the doctrinal marks, because we have different doctrines. Not all of them are are in the same not as good as the other ones. Some doctrines are not very philosophical or more religious. For example, the Buddhist cosmology, we know now that there are no Mount Sumeru or something like that in the center of the universe, but in the doctrine, it is in the canon, it is written that it is so, and it is not true, we can say, and so on. So I would go beyond the marks, the limits of the texts, and many Buddhist traditions and other traditions of India, even we can find such words in Bhagavad Gita, tell us, or in Zen Buddhism, that texts is not the thing we have to hold to. We have to think, and not to just to appeal to the doctrinal texts. So I think that our mind is the final criterion. Its right work is, to my opinion, is the final criterion of let us say true understanding of true reality, and texts can help us, but not always this is the true way, or the only way, or only the half of certain part of this way, and the following part is to be progressed already without texts by ourselves. Otherwise, we stop within the text and do not go further. I don't think that this limited perspective is the ideal variant. In any case, we should go beyond, and everyone should do that. Otherwise, he would not be free. Any text, any doctrine does not make us free. Only we ourselves can do that. So I think that Buddha also did understand this, but for usual people, for common people, he told, please, if you are not sure, look into the suttas, look into the Vinaya rules. At least more or less correct rules there are for you, for your right behavior. If you follow them, you will become stronger, you will become more clever, and you will be able, as a little child, when he grows, to go forth by yourselves. But now, just follow my rules. I will help you to get out of this world of samsara. Maybe something like this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was inspiring.
Thank you for this dialogue. Alena Kalantarova, please, your questions.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Pani Anastasiia, for the excellent presentation, excellent lectures. Thank you very much. I had two small questions regarding the commentary to appamāda from the Pali text, but Pani Anastasiia partly answered on my questions. Nevertheless, for summarizing, first question, regardless of how this concept is translated, thoughtfulness or sadness, is appamāda a temporary state of mind, similar to emotions, I mean klesha from Abhidhamma? Or does it appear in the stream of consciousness like a kind of stainless treasure, like bodhicitta in Mahayana and Vajrayana? What do you think about this? This is my first question. And the second, at what level of dhyana appamāda is attained? Thank you very much.
Of course, this question is very concrete and requires some, in ideal variant, some text where it is directly said so and so, but I can tell you that appamāda and pamāda, let us say apramāda and pramāda, are included as dharmas in the classification of dharmas of Sarvastivada and Yogacara, and belong to Vichas dharmas. In the case of appamāda and unvichas or klesha, upaklesha, in this case dharmas, when we speak about pamāda. This is Mahayana tradition, and we can see that this dharma is included. And in negative variant, it is upaklesha. In positive, it is a positive, wholesome, virtuous dharma. But concerning the concrete mechanics, I would send you to the concrete texts, so that you get exact knowledge about the functioning of these dharmas or states. In the Buddhist tradition, it would be the best variant. Anyway, the state of appamāda is a necessary state for right understanding of Dhamma. By the way, in Dhammapada, we read that because of not being appamāda or being negligent, being heedless, the Bala is unable to understand the Buddha Dharma. And so this is a crucial mental disposition needed for understanding of Dharma. In case of bhava, this is a persistent state which cannot be corrected in this life. Only in the future life, due to good karma or so on, a full, as can be suggested, can be changed and finally saved, get salvation, as all the human beings which are to be saved according to the Buddhist teaching. And according according to the question, what is to be said about the jhanas and the appamāda, I have not met the direct information about it, but if we say that the philosophy of emptiness needs appamāda, we know that meditation on emptiness is important part of early Buddhism, and there are stages of it where the first 4 jhanas are present, and later go other 5 states of upper levels where you are meditating already on arupa, non manifested forms of this being, and the last stage of it is the most perfect state which can be reached by a person on this ease, not leaving the world of human beings. And this meditation on emptiness is not possible without appamāda. So it is important component of all these states which lead to salvation in Buddhism. But your question, as I would repeat, requires a concrete text, a concrete tradition with its concrete answer. I think that my suggestions have nothing to do with the exact answers to such questions, but just some orientation in this context. Thank you.
Thank you. Yuri Savharodny, please, your question.
Okay. Anastasiia, thank you very much for your informative and extremely carefully illustrated presentation. One small question, please. Did I understood correctly that the term appamāda can be translated as wise?
Yes. It is all the question. Yes.
It's maybe later
I can
add more one.
I can answer already. Okay. Wise is Pandita Dhira, also on it Dhammapada, but the or sage. But the state of wise man is characterized by appamāda. It is inseparable quality which characterize a wise man. So appamāda should not be translated as wise. I have not seen such translations, but when you are talking about Arya, Buddhist saints or wise people, you can be sure that they are appamāda. Otherwise, they would not be wise. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, maybe one more question. Maybe it was slide 26 or verse 26, yeah? And no, it's no, I'm so sorry. About appamāda, yeah. This question about appamāda. The penultimate syllable of the word appamāda has a long a, yeah?
Yes.
But the root was med, yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Please remind me, maybe us, how the lone A came about.
Oh, oh my God. I myself think about it, but I have to look through the Sanskrit rules to tell you more exactly what does happen in this case. Now I am afraid I will not answer you as you want. I have some ideas, but I think they should be more exact to answer now.
Okay.
I will answer you later.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. And Svetlana Valinchenko, please.
I have enjoyed the lecture very much, but I have a question. Could appamāda be assigned to an individual only, or could we imagine it as a collective quality? I mean, could we imagine a group of persons or community, for instance, I don't know, a scientific society being appamāda based on their shared understanding, critical thinking, or should we evaluate each member of the group to distinguish on being appamāda or appamāda, and it cannot be assigned to a collective or community?
Thank you. Of course, in Buddhist teaching, I think that only personal interpretation is possible. But in our cases, if we go beyond the marks of the Buddhism, maybe we can build such theories, saying that, for example, people who whose country who behave so that their country does wrong things collectively are appamāda, and the people whose country does good things might be characterized as appamāda as a whole, but it is our own theory, not a Buddhist one. Maybe it can be developed, but it be an innovation, I think. Maybe it's a good idea to think about it. But first of all, of course, it is personal state. Personal. By now, I think it is still personal. Thank you.
Thank you. And Elena, please, your questions. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your interesting talk. I have two questions. First one, I noticed you used two terms in close connection, headfulness and thoughtfulness. So I wonder if they have some important meaning differences according to Buddhist Canon. And my second question is about the concept of thoughtfulness or appamāda. Does it has ethical connotations? For example, if you think right, then you act right, and it means you are a good person, or something like this. Thank you in advance.
Thoughtfulness and heedfulness, yes, this pair. As we can see, there are many translations, and many translators choose the word heedfulness. Thoughtfulness is my variant. It seems to me that there are some connotations in English leading away from the Ukrainian variant of Dumlevist, yes, which is for me the purest variant, as for me. And semantically, heedful is the one who is attentive, who maybe is mindful, who is concentrating his attention on something, and thoughtful is the one who organizes his thoughts and is more, can we use the word proliferate? It's more detailed attention to the thoughts themselves. The thinking process is more detailed, more it goes in the most profound and discrete and small details of our reality. We do not miss any little small aspect which may be important and may be clue aspect. We do not go by it. We catch everything we should catch. And when we are simply hitful, this is a more simple semantically word as for me. It is okay, but not but doesn't have this literalization of thinking, these little details, attention to very, very little tender, detailed material of our thinking, of our mind. Maybe I would answer so. And ethical aspect, the second question, touch the ethical connotations of the term appamāda. Of course, I have met the translation, for example, of appamāda as moral purity. Moral purity. It's quite different from heedfulness or thoughtfulness or carefulness, because when we say careful, we do not say morally pure. It's quite different things. But you will find all these kind of translations, and even Gojarli used the word religion, which also appeals to the moral norm rules, to the doctrines of moral conduct. Of course, for Buddhists, to be appamāda means, first of all, to be heedful, to be attentive, in Buddhist sense, which includes, of course, the moral conduct. For Buddhists, the ethical connotations are very important here. The doctrinal connotations also are very important here. But and so the translator has a choice to give a more ethical, moral translation on the term appamāda, as some of translators do, or choose instrumental variant: attentiveness, carefulness, concentration, mindfulness, thoughtfulness, and so on. And mostly, I see that the translators prefer the second variant. I think because it is wider. It gives more possibilities for our spirit, for our mind, than only moral orientation, which is important, of course, for our human lives. But it is more, I would say, ontologically, existentially important than only moral aspect of our being. So I would prefer, of course, not the narrow variant of moral ethical translation, but the more instrumental, or maybe even ontological or existential variant. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I would like to ask you some wide question about plans, ideas, how to involve this tradition into Ukrainian philosophical and humanitarian context. What are your plans about presentation, publication, translation? Because it's very interesting, very important, and sometimes very strange, very provocative. And what do you think about some perspective of this type of philosophy in Ukraine.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think that we are now in the period when new researchers of Buddhism, Ukrainian researchers, are appearing. And after Pāli Buddhist, we have a very big gap because of Soviet Union repressions. We have lost our tradition for a long time, but it was not extinguished. And due to the efforts of Ukrainian scientists, researchers, such as Mr. Yuri Zavgorodny, the anthology of translations by Ritter, Pāli Ritter, was published in 1982. And now new researchers are coming, new students, independent researchers, and we are having more and more interesting publications in our institute. And I know that in Odessa University, there are young researchers. I think that we have to collaborate to discuss all these topics. And as a result, I think we will have some maybe even interesting publications on maybe conferences. I mean philosophical oriented conferences, because we do have oriental conferences. But it would be very nice to have such a conference, for example, in our institute, academic institute, which would bear, for example, the name of Pāli Ritter, and would gather all who want to research or to know something about the Eastern philosophy. It would be a good chance for all of us to join our efforts, our knowledges, and I think that there will be publications, articles. We have to work on it, and it will get manifested step by step. I think there are people. There are not many of them. Unfortunately, not always the new people are serious, are appamāda, not always. Unfortunately, this field has also some problems, but I think the real interest to these problems will give its results, and we will have many good publications on these Eastern philosophical topics. I think that it will be in future.
Thank you. Inspiring future for us, and please invite us, use our seminar for new information, your initiative, and new presentation. We are ready to help you to collaborate in this brilliant field, because, as you know, not only our contemporary scholars who are involved in the Eastern Indian philosophy, such as Sergei Sekundan, professor, but know that in the pre-revolutionary time there were several scholars in Odessa who study this field and other region. For example, as I know today, the Dnipro is involved with the group of scholars, and we are ready to maybe to propose new forces, new energy, new participants, new listener, and not only researchers, but philosophers and humanitarians who are glad to maybe to compare Western tradition with Oriental or Eastern, and to find something synthesis of this universal field of philosophy, humanity, spiritual tradition of the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
During 2 hours now, we are not tired. We are maybe inspired and received new energy for future ideas, future activity in this and other fields. Thank you, Anastasiia, very, very much.
Thank you.
Any maybe questions or some ideas or comments? I understand 2 hours is not is a long time for our communication, but if you have a small comments, you are welcome. Please, Irina Maznova.
Hello, thank you very much for this very interesting conversation and talk. I have a small, it's maybe my point, maybe little question. You've mentioned several times that if we want to survive, we need to think critically. If we allow falsehoods to take over our consciousness, we will perish. This is point very close to my research, and partially I agree with this point. Also, the critical thinking is widely recognized as a defense against manipulation, misinformation, and cognitive biases. It equips individuals with tools for rational analysis, skepticism, and evidence-based judgment. However, this very strength can become a limitation. Scientists call this phenomena a paradox. Critical thinkers often develop a heightened awareness of bias and uncertainty, which can lead to paralysis by analysis and an inability to act decisively due to questioning or fear of error. Thus, while critical thinking is a powerful defense mechanism, it is not immune to its own blind spots, requiring constant reflection on its limits, emotional context, and ethical application. What is your opinion? Can appamāda help for us to find any solution? Thank you.
Yes, it is often noted that rationality is not all we need to survive. Of course, I didn't mean that only rationality is what we need. But when we think critically, I think that there is no requirement to get detached completely of our irrational, of our emotional dimension. It is the inherent part of our mental being, and critical here, as for me at least, includes all the experience of our mind, of our, I say mind, and many would say that I mean ratio, but not only ratio, I mean mind and all its necessary working mechanisms. So the limitations here can be possible, can emerge only if we do certain mistake, if we tend to certain not very good direction, which prevents us from the right thinking. And critical here, in my case, is well, this is the ideal way of thinking. Whatever you would say, I will tell you that this way of thinking is ideal, and it includes all necessary things to represent to the reality in the right way and to behave within this reality in the right way. So all the limitations are destroyed, are absent, if we can only really look at the reality with such a pure vision, such a pure force of vision. And I think that enlightenment in Buddhism just indicates this clearness of seeing, not stressing the rational or emotional or existential dimensions. It is just clear seeing, which is pure and exact. And if it is so, there's no problem of error. We don't do errors in these situations. And this is the most important thing we can do. We cannot change this world, this universe, for example, to make it not existing. But within the marks of this universe, we can avoid making errors. And this is our goal. If we achieve it, we will get salvation in all senses, in secular and religious as well, I think. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. My greeting to all and many thanks for all participants of our seminar today. It's a very good, very inspired, very maybe attractive beginning of the new academic year, postscriptum seminar. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening, have a nice September, have a nice academic year. Be careful, be peaceful, and propose your new ideas, new topics. We are open to all inspiration from you for discussion in our postscriptum seminar. Thank you so much.